Cool. And we are live.
Oh, and hello everyone. Thank you for joining us on this amazing Wednesday afternoon. My name is Letty Wintlapo, and I'm here with Robin and Michael. And we're so excited to actually get to know Robin and hear from her. And she'll be telling us about the power of many, which is like a community as a catalyst for innovation. So thank you everyone for joining us this afternoon again. So whether you're tuning in from work, home, on the go, you're not in the country, you're traveling, please dial down there and let us know where you're dialing from. Yeah, just to get the spirit going. And yeah, I want to introduce you, Robin, but I don't know if I'm going to make such an amazing job, but let's try. I'll try. But Robin Farah, guys, is joining us today. And Robin is a product lead. Robin is a composer and a community builder. And she is originally from South Africa. So if you're dialing in there and you're in South Africa, please let us know where in South Africa you're from. So Robin is now based in Berlin. Robin began a journey making music for film and interactive installations, and over time, she evolved into leading AI product team and launching 5 powerful tech communities that includes women in tech in South Africa and Arduino in Cape Town. Robin, please take it ahead and yeah, you tell us more about yourself and yeah.
Sure. Firstly, thank you so much for having me. It's just like such an honor to be here, so I'm very happy. I am going to share my screen with you because I did a little presentation, and then we can take it from there. Give me a little bit of a second. Sorry, I want to make sure I got this set up properly for you.
Amazing.
And everything. Perfect. I hope you're seeing that nice and clearly, and I hope that you're hearing me clearly as well. Perfect. So yes, as mentioned, I am going to be speaking about the power of many and essentially how community is a catalyst for innovation. And yeah, I want to just explain to you what we're going to be exploring today and why it matters for you and essentially everyone in the world as well. So I'll start with a bit of an intro of me, who I am, and why community matters to me. And then I'm going to show you some real world examples of why diversity and community really matters. And then leave you with a bit of a reflection to go, okay, I get this. This is how I can take this and use this in my real day life. And then we'll have questions, which are my absolute favorite because it means we can hone in on certain things that you want to hone in on, because maybe you want to just talk about music, which I'm happy to speak about. Maybe you don't want to speak about community. So I look forward to that bit too. Right. So let me get started. An intro about me. So as mentioned, I'm from South Africa. I'm currently living in Berlin. I've been here for a few years. My background is in music. So I did an undergrad in music, and then my master's, I specialized in interactive audio installations. So that means, for example, these are some pictures of my installations. One that I did is you would walk into a room and the whole ceiling was helium balloons, but when you pulled balloons, they rung like church bells. So the installation was called Balloons. So the idea for all these interactive installations comes from, I love music. Music essentially is sound waves. Sound waves are numbers. Numbers can be coded. Hardware works with numbers and hardware works with code. So I realized I could create these environments where hardware with code was basically interacting with audio, and likewise, if audio did certain things, it could interact with hardware. So maybe control lights or anything like that. And the idea with releasing an installation comes into a very similar cycle of a product life cycle. So you have an idea, you build a prototype, you show it to people, you get their feedback, you change it up, you rebuild it, you get the feedback, you change it. So that is also where my product development journey essentially began. So I studied those things in the UK, and then I moved back to South Africa, my home. And that's where I started the community. So I wanted to meet like-minded people. So people working with hardware, people working with music and making things. And this is where Arduino Cape Town started. And from there, I started the Modern Alchemist, which was a lot more creative because Arduino Cape Town was very electronics based. And Modern Alchemist was more of this idea of, if you're an artist, like a photographer, anything, and you want to integrate electronics into it, you could meet like-minded people and they could help you, and you could create these communities of different skills to develop really cool things. These communities were still very male-orientated. So from there, I developed Women in Tech, initially Cape Town, but that grew into multiple chapters around the country. And it really was a great community and extremely impactful. Unfortunately, when I left the country, though, a lot of those just got quieter and eventually are inactive. I think the Modern Alchemist is fairly active now, but I'm not really involved with it. We also then did a lot of things like tech talks, which we did once a month, always sold out, amazing sponsors, amazing speakers, and just learned so much. These also ended up turning into hackathons, where essentially, because the community was made up of so many diverse people with different skills, different backgrounds, if there were problems to solve, like transportation issues, we would run hackathons and create solutions for these companies, and hopefully these people's ideas would get funded, and they could either move on with it or win a prize for coming up with some sort of solution. So it was really great. And from that, my company essentially was developed, which was called Cato, which stands for Kick-Ass Technology, obviously. And that was
Love it.
Thank you. It was a lot of tech consulting. So essentially it was anything from these communities that were less community orientated, that you wanted it to be more like hardware development, technology consulting, maybe as well your team isn't diverse enough and you want more females coming into your team, then we've got the Women in Tech community that we could reach out to about jobs and anything like that. So there were a few cool projects that we worked on. I mean, there are a lot, but you can just see the diversity here. So things like with drones, with animals in the wild, water and water conservation. We worked with a surgeon once as well at Curtis Gear, and also work with like marine life and everything there. However, I did find there was a bit of a hurdle working in South Africa. There's a limit to time that people have to get solutions. There's a limit to money of how much they can spend, particularly on hardware development. And generally, companies that have the time and money to spend, they don't have the say. The say is at their head office in Europe or America. So I kept reaching these hurdles and decided it's time for me to move to Europe and see what's going on there and see what I could do. So I moved to Portugal, started setting up some different courses there on Arduino, on coding, Raspberry Pi, and stuff like that. But I soon actually got offered a job in Berlin around building hardware for music, which, as you hear from my background, is my job. It's like made for me. It's perfect. Music, hardware, building instruments. So I moved there to work for a company. Well, I moved here because I'm in Berlin at the moment. I moved to Berlin to work for a company called Native Instruments. I am not there anymore, but I was there for a few years, and we built things like keyboards that you plug into your computer, DJ equipment, those push pads. We also built digital instruments, so plugins into libraries. If anyone listening in plays with music at all, it's very likely you've used Native Instruments products and you're still using them. I used to oversee their business planning and their whole product portfolio, so it was a very exciting job. And when I was there, I met someone that worked at Babbel. So Babbel is a language learning app similar to Duolingo, but really focused on the European language market. And I was asked to come in as the product person to develop online learning classes. So group classes with a teacher. And this happened to overlap. It wasn't planned because of the pandemic, but it happened to overlap with the pandemic. So very successful product. So we built these group classes, and then I built private classes with my team as well. So just you and a teacher. But towards the end, I'd been there for over 4 years and I was happy, but I wanted to go back to music. So I applied for a job and I started working at Mirolo, which is where I'm at the moment. And we do machine learning with audio. So essentially we create generative audio models. So you can generate music, you can generate sound effects, but one of the biggest selling points for us is it works with video. So if you upload a video of someone, it will generate sound effects for that video of, say, someone walking, and it's synchronized. So if they're walking, they're running on sand or running on wood, you will hear them running on wood and it will be in time to the video. So it's a really interesting product. But it comes back to community. which is why we're here to speak about community and the importance of community and diversity as well. All these opportunities that I've had are because someone that I knew either referred me, I met them through someone I knew. And if there were occasions where it wasn't because of someone I knew, if I had any doubts or any concerns about myself, I had my community to uplift me. I had people to reach out to help me upskill, to ask questions, to basically do mock interviews or anything like that. So the sense of community and knowing really helped me personally with my career. But I also want to focus now on the importance of community and diversity when it comes to products. So I really want you to start seeing why diversity and community aspect is important to products. So I'm going to go through some products that we're all very aware of. So we've got 3 here: computer, GPS, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth. So if you look at the computer and the history of the computer, it would not be possible without one of the first computer programmers in the world. So Ada Lovelace, she was one of the first computer programmers. You can see the year there where she was working on her papers of essentially computer programming, which is the foundations of computers today. So we wouldn't have computers if it weren't for her and her work. As well as when it comes to Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. So Heidi Lamar did a lot of the work behind this and the possibility of wireless communication. So we know we wouldn't have these today, and the way technology works now would not be possible without her. So that was around the year 1941 that she was publishing this sort of work. Then when it comes to GPS, which we all use, it's on our phone. I think we take advantage of so many of these things as well. This wouldn't be possible with 2 amazing women, so Dr. Gladys West, as well as Katherine Johnson. So these last 2 you'll be more aware of because of the movie Hidden Figures, which is great because their work and their struggle as well with life and work was really highlighted in that movie, which is great. But it re-emphasizes how a diverse team, which back then females weren't doing work like this, it was rare, but how their work of these diverse teams has made sure that these products are long lasting. Like, I mean, this is 100 years after the fact of someone doing the work. So it really does take great minds. It takes different minds, different cultures, everything coming into the room and thinking of things if you want something to last longer and have an actual impact. I want to look now at the consequences of diversity, just to play a bit of devil's advocate of like, it can't be that bad, but it is. So I'll look at some ideas here of what happens when your team is of like-minded people, like-minded backgrounds. So a very famous thing that happened a few years ago was this campaign of don't just shrink it and pink it. What does that mean? A lot of things were made for men, and in order to meet a female target market or even younger girls, it was, we'll just make the smaller version and make it pink, because what do they really need, you know? And unfortunately, that's not how it works. So in this first picture, you can see some examples. So a lot of protective wear. So say for female firefighters, females in the army, they would just make a smaller version of the male's clothes, and it would actually end up in fatalities because these women couldn't move properly in crucial situations. So they've had to now start actually developing clothing and protective wear for women. In a similar way, crash test dummies in cars are always men. So they've started building ones that are women, because then cars and safety in a car, like seatbelt, airbags, can be adapted for the female body as well. And similarly, power tools were not adapted with a female team building it and thinking it, and also female users testing. So in a similar way, we can have people with different color skin. It was quite controversial, so I'm sure a lot of you know this, but for a while, there were a lot of white male teams working on cameras and facial detection systems. And because of that, any facial recognition of someone of a darker colored skin, either the computer couldn't recognize it, the camera couldn't recognize it, or the computer would actually mistake it for something like an animal instead of an actual human being. So this really came to light of, you know, this isn't on, and this is why you need diverse teams. And also something that I became aware of recently is, for example, when you have those trigger systems for soap or hand sanitizer, for a long time they didn't work for people of a different color skin apart from white skin, because it couldn't be triggered. No one had tested it. No one had built it for someone of darker skin tones. So you can see very clearly what happens when people are a very, very similar team and mindset. But people see this, we're understanding, I believe, as a culture and humanity, we're understanding, seeing it, and learning and adapting. So another big thing, and sadly this is only recently, but a good thing, is that we're living in a day and age where this change is happening. But makeup, for example, so only, I think it was in 2022 or maybe slightly before, Rihanna developed this beauty range. And she realized, look, we've got tons of skin tones. There's not just one or two, there's multiple shades. So she actually created foundations with over 40 shades of foundation, which is completely understandable. Similarly with blush, any sort of skin tones, which, I mean, even like every woman knows, if you wear foundation, you're even going through like 3 or 4 shades a year, like, let alone if you come from a different background, culture, different skin color. And the amazing thing is, not only does this meet such a huge audience that has been needing this need, which is, it's just a normal thing to have this. Her company within the first month was valued at $72 million. So it shows you also, it means a meaningful product that has meaningful impact on people and can change their lives, as well as it actually is valued really high. I think today it's valued over, what is it, 570 million US dollars. So amazing product, thinking with everyone in mind, testing with everyone in mind, diverse teams, which is really great. In a similar way, there is a modular phone. This company is based in Berlin, actually. So this phone's really great that if things, as we know, your phone breaks, what do? You have to go buy a new phone. And they were thinking, this isn't good for the planet. Why can't you just change your camera? Why can't you just change your battery? Why can't you change the thing that's not working now and update that? Because that's really what it's about. So this is called a Fairphone. I will let you guess what this team looks like. Of course, diverse, different ages, different backgrounds, different cultures, everything. And you can imagine, because they're thinking with the bigger picture in mind, not just themselves.
And
So,
just like to
yes.
yeah, I'm so sorry about this, but like I love how you highlight that like our communities shape, just like they don't just shape who participates, like with what you said, like we shape what gets built. And I think that's like the most important, that's where the gold is at, like having a diverse team, having like cross collaborations, and like having a strong community. Like it's not really about who participates, although that matters because we are all doing it, but like it has more impact on what the outcome is, what gets built. And sure, yeah, that's sure.
Sorry, I have like a light system. No, you're 100% right. I will not know. Yes, you're 100% right. I think as well, it does mean that the people working on the products are happier because they know they're having an impact, not just for themselves and their salary, but they're having a wider impact. And the people using the product at the end of the day are happier because they're seen. And
yeah,
I mean, that's what it's all about at the end of the day. Like, we all want to be seen as humans. So it's really important.
yeah.
I just also wanted to say, if you're still not convinced about how important community is, this just means so much to me. The only reason I am speaking here today is because Bianca, who is one of the colleagues, she helped me run these communities, and she helped me start Women in Tech years ago and grow it. And yeah, I mean, if it wasn't for her, I wouldn't be connected with you. I wouldn't be speaking today. And I want to all of you to bear that in mind, that whoever is with you today, whoever's one of your colleagues, one of your just anyone, a friend, whoever it is, you don't know that in a few years' time they're going to be calling you up saying, I have the best opportunity, you're the person for this, whatever it is. So this just shows, like, I'm not just saying it, like, if it's true, and today is showing it. I want to leave now that we've covered who I am, a bit of my background, and then also this idea of why diversity is so important. I want to leave this reflection and call to action of you to all just have your minds open. Look at the products around you, think about these products and think, was this really built for everyone in mind? For example, seatbelts. I wasn't aware of this because I've never been pregnant. But seatbelts are not made for pregnant women. Pregnant women have to go buy separate seatbelts when they are pregnant because they can't wear one in a car. And obviously, they're the most vulnerable people in the car. In a similar way, a lot of medication isn't built for everyone in mind. It's built for the people that are building the medication for you or developing it. So yeah, think about that. Look around you, look at your team, look at the people you work with and interact with, and just think, really, are they diverse as possible? Am I getting everyone's opinion, everyone's thoughts in mind? Because it really does help, and it makes things easier as well. Rather than you having to think about everything and everyone, people come with their own opinions and own experience. So in conclusion, we're not alone. We've all got each other. We've got each other to build with, grow with, and we can create essentially a better world together. Leaving you with the thought and understanding that the big idea doesn't come from thinking in the box. It comes from thinking with everyone in mind. And with that, I'm going to open the floor to questions, and I'm going to stop sharing my screen.
I think you touched on some very interesting points, especially the diversity aspect of it. Andrew actually wanted to know, he says that he once attended a talk that mentioned that diversity is not just about color or gender or religion, but allowing diversity in cultural thought. And he wanted to know, like, have you seen good examples of this?
Oh, I mean, on the top of my head, I mean, it's a tough one. Look, I think it's everything. Culture is included, religion, everything, even your experience. Off the top of my head, I can't think of something exact, but I think the Fairphone for me comes into play because I know that team is so diverse that they could think of things of, hey, look, in my country, it doesn't work like that. In my country, recycling doesn't work this way. We need to make sure that it meets for them. I'll give it some thought and see if there's something that comes to mind. Sorry, it's a little bit hard when you are presenting because you feel a bit on the spot to think about stuff. But I'll think about things that are more culturally based. I can say in terms of culture, Andrew, if you are interested, there is a book called The Culture Map, and it's just how to interact with different cultures in teams. It is interesting because, for example, I've worked with people based in China, and their culture in a meeting is to speak when you ask to be spoken. So even if they don't agree with the decision that's being made, they think it might end up making the business or product a failure, they'll keep quiet until you ask them. And I didn't know this until I read that book, and I was like, okay, I have to actively be like, what is your opinion? And then they'd be like, I don't think this is a good idea. And I think that can also help and knowing how to speak to different cultures. And yeah, hope that helps. I don't think it answered the question. I know it didn't, but I'll give it some thought.
Okay, awesome. And then Lisa wants to know how you're defining communities here. She says that she's curious. She works with internal, you're speaking of communities in terms of internal teams. She works with external teams, so she just wants to understand how you are defining communities here.
I think that's a really good point because I didn't really touch on it, but it was in my speaker notes because I realized people could think a community essentially is like a meetup group that you meet all the time. But I think community can mean anything what it means to you because we're all different personalities. Some of us are introverts, some of us are extroverts. So for some of us, making that network of people, to me, it's a network of people. And making that network of people that you can turn to for certain things, whether it's your friends that you can turn to emotionally, whether it's someone with different interests or similar interests to you, whether it's someone that can really challenge you on your thinking. To me, that's a community because I've had these communities where we've built around electronics, where we've built around creativity, where we've built around being females in technology and how we can uplift each other. They've all been different. But I also see my community as I turn to my brother for something different to what I turn to my best friends for. And they are my community at the end of the day. And then there's my colleagues that are a community because they're still in my network when I leave. And I think that why it can also work if you're working in a team is, for example, if you notice your team isn't diverse enough, you can reach to your community, whether it's friends, family, meetup group, to ask them, can you test something that we're working on, because we need insight from different people with different backgrounds. So a little broad, but network of people.
Okay. And then just from me, like I'm just curious, like, as somebody that actually works in the community team at Umuzi, what advice would you give for people like us that are building fresh communities, diverse communities, and how we can scale them up in a way that is sustainable, so to speak?
Yeah, look, I mean, our communities, I think I ran those communities for 5 years or just under 5 years, so they were sustainable.
Yeah.
But in hindsight, I think they could still be running if I had the knowledge and experience that I have now. And what I would say, I noticed personally that what a hurdle was, which I doubt that you have here, is it felt like a lot of the time it was myself or Bianca running a lot of things. People were nervous to step up. I don't know why. So you need to allow different people to own things and take control and feel like they're running the communities as well. I think that's one thing, but I think bigger is really understanding and showing the world what the value of your community is, because the reason we were able to do the hackathons is those people who understood, and companies who were like, wow, I've got access to essentially 3,000 people, and we have a problem in our company or the community that we're trying to solve. Let's bring them together for like 48 hours. The first 100 people that come, they can solve this problem for us. And I think if you can figure out what is our community made up of and how can we meet bigger needs for people that can happen a lot faster. Is it something that we can develop something faster? Is it a quick idea? Is it that they can start hiring people from our community? I think that can make it sustainable for a long term. And I think it's extremely beneficial for big companies, small companies, society, and governments. And I think if you can clarify that picture, it just means your community is going to be running forever. And like I said, I wish that I knew that, because our communities would still be running. And I would probably say it was like some of the best times of my life. It was so much fun.
Oh, that's beautiful. That's really beautiful. And like, I love how you've taught us today, like the power, the real actual power of community and diversity, like I'm just wowed out at the fact that, like, for a fact, innovation doesn't just happen in isolation, it happens in community, and we're always sitting there in our tiny little desks trying to come up with the next best idea. Like, yeah, Andrew's going to be so impressed. Oh yeah, Bianca's now see this. But like, honestly, like, it will never happen in isolation. If I meet up with this person and we exchange and we diversify, we come together, bring different experiences, different perspective. And like, it's very true. I'm looking at companies and all the examples that you've played, and like, that's where the creativity really is at. It's at like where we keep each other accountable, like holding each other accountable, being diverse, having a diverse community. And like, sheesh, thank you so much, Farah, for this. Like, I think we're all leaving this session today, like stronger, especially in our community building, because that is honestly the future. Thank you so much. I think this was very much like important. It was meaningful, and it was super powerful. Like, I'm just like wowed out.
No, I'm glad to hear. I hope it is, because for me it's the be all and end all of us essentially being humans and going forward. So
No, thank you so much, Farah, for coming in today. And if you don't mind, please do share the prezzo. We would very much appreciate it. And
cool. I will do that
Okay.
straight away with you. And I mean, I can I'll do it straight away and just make it a public one so everyone can view it.
Okay. we'd very much appreciate that. Thank you so much for coming in today and speaking to us. And also for everyone on the call, thank you so much for joining our Brilliant Brackets series. These are very impactful sessions where we come together as a community. We learn, we learn about different opportunities, we learn about different things, and we just come here and we are all being, and thank you so much for joining. Micah, I don't know if you want to add in a few words there.
No, this was just like an amazing session, especially for people that are in community. I think this was amazing. Thank you so much for coming. Thank you for taking the time. This was powerful. Hopefully we'll have you back again with a different topic.
Yeah, please. Yeah,
I
would love to.
Just ask
Yeah.
me whatever it is that you want me to answer, and I'll see what I can help with.
Okay,
Awesome.
amazing.
Thank you so much, Farah. Guys, everyone again that's listening, thank you for showing up. And let's keep showing up for each other. Let's keep building these communities, and let's keep sharing our lights and not stay connected, and we stay strong in this power of community. Thank you for tuning in, guys. We'll chat again next time.
Cool. Thank you so much.
Bye, everyone.
Bye-bye.